This is Ben Jones, and we're hanging out with one of the biggest and most highly regarded bands of our generation. So far, they've only released one album. That 2 years ago was called Parachutes, and to date it's sold over 5 million copies worldwide. The band is Coldplay. Good to see you.
Hello. That was the biggest build-up since,
Since the Brits, maybe?
Or since Caesar.
So we got Chris, we got Johnny, and we got Will. Good to see you.
How you doing?
Where's Guy?
Guys,
Rehab.
taking some
Pills.
music stuff back. he got sold some dodgy music gear, so he's going
Going around with a baseball bat.
Sawing somebody out.
Someone's house.
Well, it's been a while since we last heard you. Other than actually recording the LP, what have you guys been up to?
Well, that's what we do. We were touring for a long time, and then we were recording for a long time, and then we were getting ready to tour again for a long time.
And is that really what happens? It just takes that long to do everything?
Yeah, but it's great, we have the odd break here and there, but none of us really like having more than about 2 days off because we get itchy feet again,
And do you actually still enjoy doing what you do? Do you get up in the morning and go, actually, this is a cool job?
It was the best thing in the world possibly ever.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it, really, to be honest, to sort of be one of the world's biggest bands?
Well, I think, to be fair, you've been very nice to us, but you are laying it on a bit thick. We're
no,
really...
sorry, hold on. I read an interview with Interview in Q magazine, and you said that you do believe you are one of the world's best bands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one half of my head believes that, and the other half is yet to be convinced. And that's the half that makes us always want to work harder. And we all get up in the morning and well, I can't speak for what Will does when he gets
Well, we're going to get to hear some of the new tracks from the album in just a couple of ticks, but let's go back a couple of years. Let's go to 2000. It gave us the release of Parachutes and the various singles, including Yellow, which has been described so many different times as one of the most beautiful and perfectly constructive singles of all time. And yet I read that the success was something you didn't really believe the band actually deserved at that particular stage. Is that right?
No, that's not right at all. Like I said, half of us believes that we're basically the Beatles times 10, and the other half believes that we're not the Beatles by a long stretch, and so when we had a bit of success, there's a side of you that's completely disbelieving and doesn't really understand why anyone likes it. But similarly, if you don't have success with something, you can't believe that no one's liked it. You know what I mean? So
Okay, so today...
It's very easy to say that you didn't believe something would be successful when it has been successful. It's much easier to be humble with success rather than humble when you've been defeated.
So today, what do you feel? Do you feel like you're the Beatles times 10, or do you feel that you're not the Beatles, maybe Rick Waller?
I think we're maybe on the same level as Rick.
But not nearly as fat. Thank God.
You can't say that.
Oh, I can. He's huge, everyone knows.
But that's sizist. America's bigger than England, but no one... What am I talking about? I have no idea.
Rick Waller's fat, okay.
There's nothing wrong with big trousers.
No. Okay, you brought a bunch of tracks that you want to play tonight on Virgin Superstars. Should we start with any one of yours? Who do you want to go first?
Yeah, let's do it, because we have been sick of talking about our own music for so long that we'd like to play some bands that we think are good.
Okay, who's going to go first then?
Well, we are.
Okay.
Let's first of all play a song called Yellow by Coldplay. No, let's not. Let's play... This is a band that we all think are mega, and it was one of the reasons why we signed to our label, was that we'd be sharing label with Supergrass. And this is Mary.
Now, you've been a band that most people either love or hate. I describe you as kind of, I mentioned this earlier on, that you're like a Marmite band.
Sure.
People either love you or hate you. I mean, obviously, you've taken some flack over the years. Most famously, there was the sort of Alan McGee comment about Parachutes being like bedwetting.
Sure.
You get a great deal of praise, but you also get a great deal of criticism. How do you deal with the criticism?
That's great, the way we describe it is that, I don't know if you've ever seen Rumble in the Jungle with Muhammad Ali, but the way he trained for that fight with George Foreman was by being repeatedly punched in the head. And then he became stronger because of it, although slightly brain damaged. But that's the way we regard it, is that criticism can be something healthy. Although it's very painful at the time, you have to just bounce back, And we would really like to shake our critics by the hand, because they were the people that made us not want to give up, but just want to improve.
I think all types of criticism are pretty good, constructive or not, because they either make you think, oh, actually we are doing all these things completely wrong and we have been fools, or they make you think, no, this is why I'm doing it. They kind of solidify your opinion everything. Really, it's great. It's a good thing to be questioned on everything you do.
But of course, when it comes to praise, I mean, it's like a tsunami for you guys. Nominated for Best Album of the Year in 2000, stack of Brits, every kind of other award you can imagine.
We never believe praise, really. There's a there's a film that Radiohead made called Meeting People Is Easy, and Johnny Greenwood commented that for every 10 good reviews they got, it was only the one bad one that he ever believed, and it is very like that. When someone says, I think you're great, you sort of want to ask if they've been paid to say it or something.
It's a well-known fact that at a Coldplay gig, it's kind of like a who's who of rock and roll. There's always someone famous there, whether it's Natalie Imbruglia, whether it's the Gallaghers. I actually read that hearing you perform Yellow was the reason that Liam Gallagher actually started writing again. How does that sit with you? That must be quite a cool
Well,
thing.
I mean, that is not true, I don't think, but it's a nice story. I mean, what the actual truth of it is that first time Liam come to see us, he was singing some of his own songs, and so it got a bit confused, but he was writing long before. He just liked Yellow, but the thing is, celebrities coming to gigs, I mean, they're just normal people like me and you, and that's why we go to gigs all the time. It's nice to see people that are still interested in music. It's always cool for us when there's someone that we really like comes down.
It doesn't really affect you. There's just a person, so if it's
of course,
whoever
they
walks
might
in,
be a really attractive person or a really talented person.
which is always a bonus.
Yeah, which is always a bonus, but isn't, don't want to get too carried away.
Okay, before we play some tracks off the new album, let's go for another one of the songs that you've picked for Virgin Superstars. What should we do next?
I'd like to hear a song by The Coral called Goodbye. It's their new single, and we saw them the other day at Top of the Pops, and I just think they're a fantastic band.
Okay, let's get some Coral. Which track was it?
It's Goodbye.
Goodbye. We're with Chris, we're with Johnny, and we're with Will. Thanks for hanging around.
Well, thanks for having us.
You got anything else planned this
This is
afternoon?
great, being able to play our favourite tunes.
It's not. I mean, this could
It's
almost
not a bad
be.
job you've got.
It could almost be an audition. You could get your own regular Friday night gig on Virgin Radio.
I know.
Playing your own
That'd
songs. Let's talk a little bit about the album. It's out on Monday.
Yeah,
You nervous?
yeah. It's like, I think GCSE results are out around now, aren't they? And
It's day before my birthday, Monday too.
is it? Oh, really? 27th? then?
Yeah, jot it down.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, of course we're nervous, because everyone might think it's rubbish. So yeah, we are nervous.
Do you honestly still believe that now, that people are going to
No,
turn
I
around
don't.
and go,
I honestly believe it's not that rubbish.
not that rubbish?
We don't like talking about our own music in terms of good or bad.
All right, okay. We'll just say that it's
When
okay.
we
and it's
make
out
a
on
record,
Monday.
we put in absolutely every piece of passion that we've possibly got to offer, but it doesn't mean it's going to be good or bad,
But the recording of this new album almost never happened, because you were like doing some gigs in the States. Things weren't going too well. What the hell was going on?
I don't know. We just had a strange period where we wanted. It didn't look like we were kind of moving anywhere, and that we were stuck in a bit of a rut of going all around the world and playing parachutes, and not really getting a chance to evolve as a band, which is what we really wanted to do. So, it was never a case of, I don't think we never thought like this isn't going to happen. It was more of a case of this has to happen, and we've got to stop and move on and start recording as soon as possible. And we had a lot of we had such a drive to get into the studio and then record some new songs. And
What's the motivation for all the new songs? Were they already there? Were there kind of ideas